Good afternoon, or I should say good morning. It really depends on when your classroom teacher is allowing you to watch this. But this comes to you from Student Services. Miss Gaudette and myself, Miss Glancy Cox, are basically going to have a conversation around the grade 12 post-secondary education planning. And normally we would have you in the cafetorium probably a couple weeks ago and have a discussion about this. Obviously, we are presented with some challenges this year around having everyone together. So this is our compromise. Additionally, we do ask that you share this information or encourage your parents and guardians to take a look at the YouTube channel for this post that will remain active even after today, so that you can go back and take a look at the information that maybe you need clarification on, or just to sit down and watch with your parents or guardians. So before we get too far into our presentation, let's hear a few words from Miss Daniel, our principal.
Hello, R&D, class of 2021. This is an exciting year for you, despite the uncertainties that face all of us. And I'm excited to see you on your journey out the door. For some of you, you may come back for a little bit, but for each of you, I'm hoping that you spend this year making sure that your doors are open and that the pathways that you choose are accessible to you. So as you've probably heard from guidance, things begin rather quickly with information sessions, and then all of a sudden there's application processes and deadlines to follow, all while you're completing your community hours and getting the best marks that you can. So it's really important that on each step of the way that you make sure you're following instructions, asking questions of your counselors and others as you go, but kind of completing everything to the best of your ability every step along the way. And we will get to graduation. Whatever that looks like, I don't know, but we will celebrate. I'm here in the office. If there's anything I can do to help you, I'm happy to do so. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Miss Daniel. And now to Miss Gaudette.
Hi, everyone. A first step toward post-secondary pathway planning is always going to be making sure that we're on our way to graduating from Rigi. And one of the tools that you need to use to ensure that you're on your way to graduation is Maplewood. So if you haven't been checking Maplewood to make sure that your transcript is accurate, you really need to start doing so immediately. Really important to know that My Blueprint, although a great tool for post-secondary research and a great tool in terms of our course selection, it is not updated frequently throughout the year, so it may be inaccurate for you now. So Maplewood is actually the accurate account of what your marks are and what courses that you have finished. So everybody is working toward 30 credits, including compulsory. Need to make sure that as we go along that all of those marks that are in there are accurate. Everyone is also working toward 40 hours of community service, even in this unusual year. You may need to think outside the box to get those 40 hours completed. Many of our large agencies are not accepting volunteers at this time, but community service can look different for everyone. So if you're not getting paid and you're not getting credit for it as a class, then it probably can count toward your community service. So if that's raking leaves for your neighbor or walking someone's dog who can't do that, those are all good opportunities to serve. Need to also make sure that the literacy test or course are completed, and course by course I mean the OLC course. If you have not written a test or we haven't spoken to you about the OLC course, you probably should make contact with your guidance counselor as soon as possible. Also important to know that if you repeat or upgrade a course, it's only going to count as 1 credit. So sometimes we have students going through who choose to take their math courses twice. In particular, grade 11 functions can be a course that people attempt twice. If a course has the exact same code, the beginning code, so MCF 3M, if you do that course twice, it's only going to count as 1 credit, which can put you short a credit. So you just need to make sure that you're aware of that and check your transcript. If you've done anything that's unusual along the way, so e-learning, if you've taken a paddling course in the summer, all of those things come from potentially different agencies, different school board, so you just need to make sure that they're present on your Rigi transcript. That's what your transcript is going to look like. So if you go into Maplewood, go to transcript and click on courses, all of the courses that are officially completed for you should be there with the correct code, when you took them, and the mark and how many credits they're counting for. So if you happen to actually have repeated a course, you would see that the second time it shows up in your transcript, you would have received 0 credits for it. This is an important step toward graduation. If you go into Maplewood, in the course summary section, it'll show you what diploma categories you need to check off in order to graduate from Ontario. And most of those, a lot of those, I should say, are completed when you're in grades 9 and 10. In grades 11 and 12, you have a lot of choice. So it's really important that, for example, if you are choosing to focus on business and more social sciences, that you are checking off the combo categories that, if you take a look at the bottom of this slide, have multiple things that can check off them as a requirement. Make sure that those are getting marked off as complete.
So one question you might have is, how do I actually know what I need to enter the programs of my choice at post-secondary? Research is the bottom line. So you really have to, and that doesn't mean that guidance can't help you, but you really need to sort of go in ground level and take a look at what's out there just to see what interests you. Many of you started this process last year and have probably been becoming very familiar with some of the websites of the various schools in Ontario and beyond. So you want to be looking for specific programs, and those would be your academic requirements to actually enter those as well. You want to see what marks maybe were used as the cutoff for last year, and if any additional information is required. So often places that are offering, you know, your more creative endeavors or industrial endeavors might require portfolios. Some places will require auditions, and some also require entrance tests. And so you want to make sure that you are aware of those and the process by which you would book appointments to make those things happen. Obviously, things such as auditions and entrance tests that normally would have happened on campus might be done remotely this year. So definitely look into that, and guidance can help you decipher what the websites might be saying if you just want absolute confirmation. You have to be aware of deadlines. So checking the college and university websites, obviously something you have to get doing. Join college and university presentations. We will have online options for you. I have just posted a list of what we know for now in terms of the schools that we typically have students applying to. That doesn't mean it's all inclusive. You definitely are going to have to do some perusing if you don't see a school on the list. And in some cases, a lot of it is going to be up to you guys to go to the various websites and book appointments, register your name so that you can have online tours, virtual tours, and in some cases, one-on-one sessions with a recruitment liaison. And don't be afraid to do that. You're not necessarily going to be able to have on-campus visits this year, at least not for quite a while. So do take a look at what's being offered and ask big questions of yourself and then ultimately of the institution, things that you're looking for and what will be important for you. And email your questions to admissions and recruiters. They want to speak with you. They definitely want to speak with you more than they want to speak with guidance counselors. Other resources. So I did mention checking out Ontario University websites. There is a beautiful database called Ontario University's info.ca. It used to be called e-info or electronic info. We do have reminder cards in student services if you want to have that handy reminder. If you are ultimately going to apply to university, we will use a site called OUAC, and it will be listed here for your future reference, although you will not forget that soon enough. Ontario Colleges is an amazing search tool for the colleges that exist for us, but then also it is how you will in fact apply to those colleges once the time comes. And that application is coming up shortly, where it will be open. My blueprint, as already noted by Ms. Guidette, is a great resource and a tool that many of us are very familiar with. Special education resources. This is really, really important. The Transition Resource Guide will help you through the process of ensuring that the accommodations you had at Rigi will possibly, at least some of them, travel with you. Now, if you have an IEP that is based on a very old assessment, that's something that you will have to probably look into, and the resource guide will walk you through all of that and what you need and the timelines for it. Obviously, Mr. Mazzio, Ms. Marketich, and Ms. Ramsey, who are special education resource teachers for you over the last few years, are essential in this process. Just as a reminder, if you have not already done so, please be certain that you can see the Rigi Guidance page in your D2L. We are posting a lot of information that is important for post-secondary, and the grade 12s need to be in there. Many of you are not, and Ms. Guidette has been busy adding the names of individuals who have connected with her via email. So please do contact Ms. Guidette, or if I'm your counselor and it's easier for you to email me, I can bump it to Ms. Guidette and we'll make sure that you are added to the class list. You do not want to be left out of that. And as noted under the content browser, you'll see there is a specific category for university info, for college info. Scholarships is going to be updated on a very regular basis. We now have a subscription to a scholarship magazine that is going to have a lot of information that is new to us and very current. And so that is, and then also under the calendar, if there was something virtual or not in terms of events that we thought would be worth telling you about, it will be there. So the college application, this is just a screenshot of what you might see when you head to Ontario colleges, although there'll be a lot more information for you. You can see in the upper right corner, you could take a look at the colleges. There's a beautiful map that'll actually show you where these places are located. Always very handy to know where you might ultimately live. Some people want to try to stay within a particular radius around Kingston. The program list will allow you to go in. So if you want to see who offers early childhood education, you can type that in and it will give you alphabetically all the schools in Ontario that offer a program in ECE. And then ultimately applying, there will be a checklist as to what to do. So you will ultimately pay $95 to submit your application. That $95 gives you 5 choices for programs, 3 of which could be from the same school, so no more than 3. So in fact, you could have 3 programs from St. Lawrence College, for example, and then 1 from Loyalist in Belleville and 1 from Algonquin. So a total of 5. It's $95 even if you just picked 1 school. So obviously picking 5 makes a lot of sense. This application, as I already mentioned, will open in the next couple of weeks. And once it is open, unlike the university app, you will go in right away and you can create a profile for yourself, set up a username using your email, the school email in all likelihood, and then you will create a password for yourself. And then you can be in and out of that application as often as possible, and you can apply immediately. So once you have the $95 to apply, you can do so. The deadline for equal consideration is February 1st, and this is only for colleges. So what that equal consideration means is all the programs available at those schools, the particular schools you are interested in, will consider you equally for those up against all other applicants until that day. So if you apply after February 1st, that doesn't mean you won't get into a program, but it does mean that if you are interested in something that is highly competitive, you are in all likelihood out of luck. typically those programs are full by February 2nd. So as noted, pay attention to deadlines. And if you are looking at a competitive program before February 1st, and we don't want to ever wait till the deadline, because we know that when we have to have something done by a particular time, technology always fails. So you want to give yourself a grace period for sure. Competitive programs, if you want to know what they are, you can actually go to every school site and be able to see what that particular school considers to be their most competitive programs. So for example, a couple of it at St. Lawrence would include vet tech, and also nursing is highly competitive. So you do want to pay attention to that.
So for university applications, and we do want you to understand that some people may apply through the university platform, and they may also apply through the college platform. For the university application, you're going to use the OUAC site. And really, really important to know that this platform is used by many different people applying to universities. So we are speaking to people who are in high school. So anyone who is currently in an Ontario high school uses the undergrad 101 application. And it's important to get that correct because it will send you down a wrong pathway if you are not careful about which one you choose. The 101 is great because it basically speaks to the fact that you're in high school and you're going to want a little bit of support and you're going to want your information channeled correctly for you. And once you choose that correct platform, there's not a lot after that you need to do once you've completed your application. The cost of a 101 application is $150 for 3 programs. Important to know that you can only choose 3 programs from one particular school. Important to know as well that choosing, for example, 2 different programs at Queen's will count for 2 of your choices. You're not limited to just 3 choices or 3 programs, but it is approximately usually $50 for each additional choice. You will set up your undergrad OUAC application using your PIN, and it's a word that we use often. What is a PIN? So a PIN is basically a number that's assigned specifically to you that helps you set up your OUAC account. Those are scheduled to arrive no later than the end of November. And the next slide will show you what it looks like. But it is a specific number associated just with you that helps you set up your account. We do want to note that some schools will give you confusing information, basically saying that you can apply now and will take you to the OUAC site. But without your PIN, you're going to complicate your life, and you really should wait until you have that in your hands and can set up your account properly. Application deadline is January the 15th, but we like to say that we would like to see all of your university application completed and wrapped up as you head into Christmas holidays.
And one thing to note this year, the PINs will actually be mailed to your home residence. So all students will receive those in the mail, and that will account for anyone who is on a spare or who is learning remotely. So everyone will receive them at home.
So that's what your PIN will look like. The person's name has been blacked out for privacy issues or privacy concerns. But that piece of paper will head to your home through the mail. The school also gets copies of those just on the off chance that you lose it, but really important that you take it seriously and put it in a safe place. Once you set up your account, it's important for you to remember your password because the temporary PIN is the way that you access your account the first time, and from then on out, your account is ready to go, and that PIN is no longer of particular importance. It's the password that you set up. Those are some programs that we just want you to note that have supplemental program fees in addition to the $50 per school charge. It's not that common to have a supplemental program fee. The universities generally tack them on as a way of paying for administrative issues. But important to know that some particular schools and some programs at schools have supplemental program fees. Some important did you know information. So in order to apply to university, you must complete 6 grade 12 university level courses. So a university level course can be an M level course. So that's important to know as well. There are degree programs now available at colleges in Ontario. It's very important to note that you still will need your university or M level courses to apply to those college programs. Both colleges and universities have very competitive programs, so marks and how you do in the courses become very important, very important, just as Ms. Daniel said, to do your best at all times. Most colleges treat U and C level marks equally, and what that can mean is if you chose to challenge yourself and take a university level math but end up applying to college, someone who took college level math might or might not, but might have a better chance at getting a higher mark in the C level course. So really important to know that if you're 100% sure that you're heading to college, that taking college courses might be a better option for you. You will receive information from schools through your email. So you'll input an email into your OUIC account and also into your OCAS, so the college account, and that will be the way that schools contact you. They will not send very much to you in the mail, in snail mail, and they won't call your house. So email becomes an incredibly important item for you to check frequently. Confirmation of your application will come in the email, come through email. That will vary depending on schools. So some schools, the second you apply, will be very quick and send you something right away, which then can make you feel nervous that other schools haven't immediately responded. So they differ a little bit in how quick they are in responding, but you should receive a response from them at some point within, we'll say, a couple of weeks of you applying, saying, we did receive your application and we're excited to see you maybe in the fall. Important to pay attention to deadlines for required documentation, acceptances, and payments. Those are all sent to you also through email. We have very little control over any of those things if you miss a deadline. So it's an important step in taking responsibility for your education that you pay very close attention to deadlines. If you have any questions about your application, we highly recommend emailing or calling admissions. The school's admissions department is always the best source of information for any particular concern or question.
I receive, and I know Ms. Gadet has received, so many questions and emails about scholarships and bursaries from your class, even since last year when you were grade 11s. So we do applaud you for being proactive and looking for what is out there in terms of ways to perhaps supplement the funding of your particular university or college experience. So one of the best places to start your looking for scholarship and bursary opportunities would be the specific sites of the schools that interest you most. So if you know that St. Lawrence is going to be your #1 choice, take a look at what they have. There is a bursary application that once you have applied, you will also complete that. University websites, again, will also have a complete department that's devoted to scholarships and awards and financial aid. So colleges and universities both have those departments. Ontario University's info.ca and ontariocolleges.ca both afford you information about scholarships and awards. When you go into the new, so Ontario University's info has changed how its site is set up. And when you do go into the specific university pages, one of the first icons you'll see is one that will look at scholarships and financial aid. Scholarshipscanada.com, iconic.com, scholartree.ca are all sites that will give you ideas as to different awards that exist, and some, in some cases, many of which you may actually fulfill the criteria that is expected. So definitely check those out, and in some cases register so that you will receive notifications when something is available that meets your descriptions. The OSAP website, so Ontario Student Assistance Program, is is open, it's live. So you can go in and set up a profile, and you could even use the calculator, which would let you see if there's a chance you might receive some funding from OSAP. Now, it doesn't actually open up for the next school year for fall 2021 until the spring. So right now they're just taking care of students who are in school for fall 2020 and then into the winter session for that class as well. So one thing you will need would be your parents' tax information, parents or guardians' tax information. It's people who live in the household. So you will need to know a little bit of information about income that will allow you to see what you might qualify for. And then absolutely, when the application needs to be completed, you will need information from their T4. So we will post information about really large scholarships that are out there that are coming in. I'll speak to one in a moment. But when it comes to the actual awards that are connected to Rigi itself, to graduation, we will let you know about that information in May. And that's specific to our graduation ceremony. And we will give you an opportunity to take a look at what is available and the awards for which you might qualify. But that's totally separate conversation. So right now we're talking specifically about scholarships and bursaries connected to the schools to which you will attend. Some of these big awards will actually require nomination by Rigi, and we already have one such process underway, and that is for the Lorin Scholarship. If you have not already, do take a look at the criteria for this award to see if you do qualify. And it's quite something what this award does give to the recipients. And what you see there, that $100,000 just sort of scratches the surface. There's far more to that. There are two ways you can enter or apply to this. One is being sponsored by the school, and we do have at least one nomination, perhaps a couple, but once we figure that out, we will confirm with people who have put in successful requests for nomination, as there is a vetting process for that. So that nomination is online. You can see it through our guidance page, and the actual request for nomination is due this Thursday on the 1st. And so that's tomorrow if you're watching this when we anticipated you would be. But even if you're not nominated by the school, we do highly encourage you to enter through direct pool. So the deadline, there's a little bit more time there. Everybody who wants to be considered for the sponsored nomination is you all have to put an application, start the application online, and then there's a point where guidance checks whether or not you're one of the nominees, and if you're not, then you click no, and then you just proceed direct pool. And we have in fact had, at least in my time, my recollection, have had someone from direct pool make it to the interview stage, which is still quite something. So definitely check out the Lorin. What should you be doing now other than listening intently to this presentation? You should be solidifying your research, really figuring out where you would want to be next year. Get yourself organized. So the transcript piece, we really handle that in student services for you. But if you do want to apply for scholarships, and ultimately you'll have to do some personal statements of experience, or PSEs, you'll hear that term soon enough. Sometimes just gathering all of your data and all of the experience, whether that's volunteerism, awards, certifications, and putting that in a document for yourself so that it's at your fingertips when the time comes for you to be applying to these. And also, if you are someone who has an IEP, that you do start looking at that process for what's your next steps for post-secondary to have those accommodations met as well for your learning needs. And reference letters and referees. I cannot stress enough how you must give people an opportunity to give them notice. Like 2 weeks is minimum that you should be requesting a reference letter from someone. So especially if you want a good one. Also, in some cases, the schools or scholarship applications will just want a referee. So just the personal information like email address. And that's easy, but the letters do give people time, and choose someone who knows you well, who has seen you in action in the classroom or on stage or on the field and can speak to your character. Definitely get to know the schools to which you may be heading in the future, and see there are so many programs that every year there are new programs. So familiarize yourself with what is available. It could be very different than what your brother or sister or friend saw a year or 2 or 5 ago. At this point, we would be opening up the floor to questions. So in order to field some of those questions, do book a guidance appointment. Ms. Gaudette and I are waiting. Send us an email, especially if you're a parent or guardian listening to this right now. Face-to-face appointments are reserved for students at this point. So an email is always a very efficient way of reaching us. We will likely have a frequently asked question page in our D2L and the Rigi Guidance D2L, because we already have some that we know people ask every year, but also through what we see in our appointments and via email, we will generate some information for to be at your fingertips. And then definitely stay tuned, because there may be value in having a follow-up Teams question and answer period. So we will post that if people are so inclined. Thank you for your attention. If there is anything that needs clarification, do ask. Do not hesitate to watch this again in your free time, and do encourage your parents and guardians to have a look. Thank you so much, and good luck with this process.